So, Tom Askew, is that how you pronounce your name?
Askew.
Askew. Gesundheit. You're an Englishman in Peru with Russian technology, working on an Australian with a broken foot. What is this device, and how did it come to be?
It's a device called the Scenar, which means self-controlled energy neuro-adaptive regulator, or regulation. It was invented in the 1970s as a secret military project for treating cosmonauts, astronauts, in space without drugs, because the drugs pollute the water supply, which is drunk and recycled. And so if they were to have pharmaceutical drugs, it would make the water kind of toxic. So they had to develop a device that would heal them and prevent illness from anything. And drugs are really bulky as well, so you'd have to take up a hell of a lot to treat astronauts for any problem that may befall them. So it was a man called Alexander Karasev that came up with the first ENS-01 device in 1973, I think. And some say he's the man that invented TENS. TENS are machines that a lot of physiotherapists use for pain relief. It's a device that you put onto the skin, very similar, but it sends out a fixed frequency. And it doesn't heal anything, it just covers the pain up. So he was thinking, how can we change this? And he somehow invented this, almost by accident, I think. And
what's the principles behind it? Like, what's the mechanical energetics?
So you're basically running this TV-looking remote-controlled device over the skin, and it's sending off an electrical impulse. So it's battery-powered, and the batteries, I mean, these have been with me all year now, and it's, what is it now? April?
So the charge isn't a real big charge that needs to send through, so it's not draining the batteries a lot to send out the charge.
Yeah. Basically, it lasts a hell of a long time, but you can feel an immense, power coming out of it. Hence, that's why a lot of most or all paramedics in the Ukraine have one now, because you can use it for heart defibrillation and all sorts of things. So what it's doing is it's sending a signal into the body and listening for a response, almost like a radar, sonar. And a signal is being sent via the nervous system to the brain. The brain is realizing what the problem is and going, here's something I knew about but I forgot about, let's heal it right away.
So how come the body doesn't do this on its own? The body's a whole electrical impulses, neurons, it's the whole web work of its own physiology. The body can do that naturally.
Yeah.
Right? So this
why doesn't it?
Yeah, why doesn't it?
I suppose it's because it used to be able to. We had that ability to heal ourselves pretty much instantly from anything, I believe. And we've lost that ability with our drop in consciousness. And our hectic lifestyles, stress and all of that, we don't give ourselves the time to heal. This will give the body a kick-start.
So is it the frequency of the body's own electrical impulses, does it mimic that same frequency? Or is it...
Yeah, the same impulse. That's the very clever thing about this device, is that it totally mimics nervous system impulses. And a different impulse is being sent out every millisecond. So the body can't adapt. There's no what is called accommodation. So that's one of the ways in which it heals. But it's when it's sending these signals to the brain, it's informing the brain that there's a problem there, and the brain will start to release all these natural internal self-healing chemicals. A whole load of them, there's about 100 or so of them, from serotonin, endorphins, all the way through to neuro-peptides, which are the key ingredients that most scientists believe are present during every form of healing. Yeah, so I've seen it work on absolutely everything, from heart disease, liver, lungs, digestive problems.
What are some of the most dynamic examples you've encountered of healing with the Scenar device?
The woman that introduced it to me was a woman in her 80s, and she hadn't walked in about 12 years due to a spinal operation, a back problem, a bone graft, and it shattered. Bedridden, 12 years. She gradually managed to get up and walk around in agony, sideways like a crab, but then she lifted something up one day and it brought it all back, and then she was back in bed for 12 months, until she was told about this from a doctor that had one in the south of England. And it was in its beginning days, and he didn't know how to use it exactly. He just knew, put it on the skin and wait for this number to come down to 0, because he had a Russian manual, that's all he knew, and it was in Russian. So he waited, and it took 45 minutes for this number to come all the way down, and it meant, he could move on, that point is done. And he said, well, how do you feel? And she sat up and she started walking around the room, pain-free. First time in 12 years. And being in her 80s, you know, I was backpacking around the world with her as well, you know. So she informed me about it in 1999, and that's when the Russians came over and we did our first training. Yeah, and I've seen loads of examples of miraculous cures of people leaping out of wheelchairs. One guy after a 3.5-minute treatment. It was on that program in Australia called A Current Affair. Yeah, he gave a great big interview on there. And they've done clinical trials on it and all sorts for long-term neck injuries.
Do you think the medical profession in general is wary of an electronic device doing this, or they're more embracing of it because, you know, it can be proven with technology?
Both. My father was a doctor. At first, very sceptical, and gradually he saw the results I was getting, and, you know, eventually was telling everyone about it. Of course, you know, you can go and train with this and come away at the end of a 3-day course knowing how to heal people really quickly, and doctors have to go through, you know, 4 years of training to get their certificate, as it were. So that's, you know, they're not too keen on that. But there is a lot of scientific proof, and all these quantum physicists, bioenergetic engineers, you know, they're not nutters. They've rarely investigated this, and it's become part, in Germany, the continued doctors' learning, become part of their continued learning. And so it's really taken off with German doctors. It's in about 60 countries now, and as I said, all the paramedics in the Ukraine use it, and I'm not sure which other countries. Yeah, it's getting out there. It's getting out there, and it has a potential. We have, I believe, all the necessary chemicals we need within us to heal ourselves. We don't need to rely on chemicals from a packet.
And so it's pretty bulky, sort of like, it's like a remote control. It's like a big chunky Star Trek tricorder. That's what it looks like. But I mean, it's got the batteries, as I said, in it. I mean, is it a pretty simple device? It's just got the one function, like the one electric current it does. It doesn't modulate between separate currents to affect different types of healing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole range of different frequencies from 15 to 350 hertz. Each one has more of an ability to heal a problem than another. For example, use a high frequency up to 350 to get rid of pain, swelling, inflammation. I'll just turn the power up.
Same on the small device?
Yeah.
The same range of frequency?
More or less, yeah. And you can get it to modulate, so it goes on and off to refire muscles. You can get it to go on an FM frequency modulation, so it goes up and down, up and down.
The wave thing.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the wave thing.
Yeah. I use it quite a lot. I put it in as many dynamic settings as I can.
This is very focused on one particular area because he's injured there, but when you say about like lungs or organs or whatever, do you just put it as close to, like you put it over your rib cage, or like?
Yeah, you can put it for lungs. You can put it on the front of the chest and the back.
Right.
But with this particular device, it's got a digital readout, so I can take numbers and find out exactly where I need to work. That's one way of using it. The other way is to stroke over the skin, and it comes up as a bright red patch on the skin, and it sticks where you move the device over an area that needs work. So it's to do with skin resistance or skin impedance. And then you alter it by rubbing over that sticky patch or the red patch, and that will alter that, and it will alter everything within it, underneath it.
So if it was kidneys, you rub over over the kidney area or liver?
Yeah, but for a more kind of general treatment for someone that has different problems, I'd go down the spine.
Okay.
Either stroking or taking numbers. And then where the numbers are higher is exactly where I need to concentrate. So it might not be over the area where the kidneys are. The body might be telling me it needs healing slightly higher up. And so we work very holistically and take the layers of the onion off, as it were, to get to the true, cause of the problem.
Spinal fluid?
It's working with nerves. Yeah, so we go down the centre of the spine and then left and right of the spine. Paravertebrals, as they're called, and 6 points on the face, where the